wave of cloud and funk. I assume it's funky. It's Danny. Welcome to my dark desk. Take a sippy, puffy, do what you gotta do. We're here to talk about it. Welcome to Derry, season 1, episode 8, Winter Fire. This is the season finale of Welcome to Derry, and boy oh boy, it's a doozy. So yes, take a sippy sip. I'm gonna finish my latte and let's go. So opening scene, we're in a shop on Main Street in Derry. The pedestrians outside are stopping in horror and confusion. The shopkeeper is like, what's going on? Shopkeeper is doop, walks out the store, looks over, and there is just a wave of cloud and smoke just rolling through, covering buildings and the entire street. As you see it close up within the smoke, the leaves on trees are withering up and dying. Everyone's running inside. And then one of the scenes of like people running inside or running past a store, there's a woman standing in a doorway with a Pennywise like bucktooth grin. The next scene, we're in the high school. Pennywise's fingers tippy toes towards like the little loudspeaker, the mic. And suddenly we hear the principal's voice saying, upperclassmen, you could go home, but everybody else go to the auditorium for an assembly. So we see the patty cakes walking through to the assembly, to the auditorium, talking crap about the mascot who's right next to them, like, ew, no decorum. So they're talking crap. The students are looking around. They're like, where are the teachers? There are no teachers. There's a red curtain on the stage. It kind of pulls away and you see the principal coming out and telling the students to settle down. And he's like, I want to introduce you to the dancing clown. As he's introducing the dancing clown, his tube just, and Pennywise appears behind, and we realize that he's puppeting the principal. The principal is the puppet, and Pennywise's hand is in the, and then he like crushes the principal's skull and tosses the body. Obviously, once he comes out, kids start screaming. Once he crushes the skull, the kids start screaming some more. And once he tosses the principal's body into the crowd, they take off running. I don't know why it took him so long for them to take off running, but they take off running. It doesn't matter. He deadlights them. All the kids start floating and the stage falls away behind Pennywise and you see the smoggy outside. Then we get the intro, that creepy intro. So next scene, Ron, Lily, and Marge are in the tower. I'm pretty sure this is completely within the same day. So the same day that the shard was destroyed and we saw Ronnie, Lily, and Margie hugging each other, grieving Rich. They're still there doing some cleaning. And Ronnie looks over and sees all the smog and she calls the other ladies to her and they're like, what the hell? They run down the stairs and there's smog everywhere. Marge turns around and looks back at the tower and there are a bunch of missing posters laced all around the tower. They're like, what the hell? These are current students. These are people who weren't missing earlier today. So they jump on the one bike. They go to the high school to figure out what happens. Next, we see Pennywise in his little circus vehicle playing the trombone. He is piping the high schoolers. The high schoolers are all floating behind his cart and he's playing the trombone, probably because he deadlighted them. Next scene, the girls are at the high school. They see the dead principal on the floor. All the students are gone. One of the missing children's posters hits, I think, Ronnie in the leg, and she looks at it. She realizes Will is also missing. Ron is like, we have to follow the trail. There's like a trail of blood. They could see a mass departure, footprints or whatever, and Ronnie's like, we have to follow the trail. We can use the shard or the dagger. Marge is like, I want to kill that goddamn clown, and I'm like, fuck yeah. They look yonder, they see that the clown killed the milkman, and they're like, wow, why kill the milkman? But Marge sees the truck, she runs in, gets behind the wheel. Ronnie's like, you don't know how to drive and you have one eye. And Margie's like, I've seen my uncle drive. It's fine. And they let her drive, which I think is awesome. Leroy goes back to his office and this is after Shaw dismisses him. He goes back to his office, he calls the house, no one answers. He goes to leave, but the phone rings. It's Pennywise laughing. He's like, what scares a man without fear? Pennywise puts Will on the phone with Leroy long enough to show that, yeah, Pennywise has Will. Leroy is bugging out. He's like, don't touch my son, don't touch my son. He's threatening Pennywise. Pennywise just hangs up on him and Leroy goes nuts. He bangs the phone, he destroys the phone, and he's clearly scared. Next scene is Halloran in his room, bugging out. He sees dead people in every corner. Some of them are growling at him, some of them are crawling out from under the bed. They're in the corner, they're in the shadows, they're everywhere. And he grabs his gun and suddenly there's bang 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 on his door. It's Leroy. And the ghost says, do it, delete yourself. So the ghost throughout his space is daring Halloran to pum himself, and Leroy's banging the door like, Halloran, you gotta answer me. He kicks the door down. Dick pulls the him, tells him to back up. He said, and Dick's like, this is because of you. This is because of you this is happening to me. This is because of you. And I'm like, is it though? Because you didn't have to ask old girl to find you the kids. You could just try to look for the kids. I'm just saying. It wasn't Lever's fault exactly. Also, Dick had an arrangement with Shaw before Halloran, so is it really Lever's fault? I'm just gonna he says it's because of you, and now there's no way out of this, so he puts the pew pew in his mouth, and Leroy is like, they have my boy, they have my son, and that stops Dick. And Leroy begs him to help him fix this. He's like, just help him get back his son. He'll do whatever he can to help Dick recover from these voices. Just please help me get my son. And Dick puts the pew pew down. We see the smog crossing over the river. You see the base kind of monitoring that the radar can see the smog on it, which is physically impossible. Radar doesn't do that, right? Shaw is watching it and he looks a little scared. Fuller says Leroy's AWOL, and Shaw's like, we don't need him. He can't stop us now. It's about to go down. And Fuller's like, well, Leroy left with Dick, and that got Shaw's attention. Shaw was like, oh, word. It's interesting that Shaw's not worried about Leroy, but he was worried about Dick. He needs Dick, or he knows that Dick could stop the cloud, which says something a lot about Dick's powers in general. Leroy takes Dick to Rose's house, and it's the fact that Leroy knew enough to know that Charlotte was going to be at Rose's house says that they were working as a team, but you didn't see it on the show. So he takes Dick to Rose's house. We don't see Leroy actually tell Charlotte, but we see Charlotte's reaction to Leroy telling her that the clown has Will, and Charlotte is beating him up, like saying, you said it was safe, you said it was okay, you said it was asleep, this is your fault. Now that I could get behind that it is his fault. Leroy says Dick can connect to Will, and we will use Charlotte and Will's connection, mother and son's connection, to locate Will. And Rose is like, hey, it won't matter. You will be able to locate Will doing that. Don't get me twisted. That's a good plan. But then you're helpless. You can't fight this thing. You can't fight this thing. It doesn't matter. You can't win against the clown. But she gives a suggestion. She says, if Dick can locate our missing shard, we might have a chance. We could use that missing shard to close Pennywise's cage. Rose is like, as long as it's planted back into the earth and links with the other shards, we could create the same container that was there before. They showed this tree in one of the episodes, particularly when young Rose and Francis were hanging out when she returned his slingshot. By that tree, if they put the shard there, it would put it back. It would bring back the cage or the prison that contains Pennywise. Dick is like, I can't find anything. All I could hear are these voices. I am useless to everybody. And Rose is like, we could use Maturin root. Maturin is the opposite energy of Pennywise. If Pennywise is an evil, dickish creature or being, Maturin, the turtle, is something pure and whatever. But she didn't give him that explanation. She just said, we're gonna use this Maturin root, we're gonna boil this water up, ground this bitch up, you're gonna drink that shit. And what annoys me about Rose is she prepares the root, she does the boiling thingy, she hands it to Dick, and as Dick is swallowing, she's like, oh, but be careful. She throws out a warning. Once it hits Dick's mouth, he is out. Everything starts blurring and swirling, and he can't hear or see anything. So I'm a little mad at Rose. Why couldn't Rose give the warning way before he drank it? Like, while she was prepared, she's like, oh, Dick, after you drink this, you know what I mean? Like, why is she waiting? The fuck? We see the kids driving the truck. Ronnie's like, could you go a little faster? And Marjorie's like, I'm going as fast as I can. They hit a pothole and they're arguing back and forth. Like, the way they're arguing is very unnatural to how they argue. It's actually more and more aggressive. Hit a tree, everything goes spiraling, falling out of every which way, but the kids are safe. The dagger, the shard, gets thrown out. Lily notices it immediately on her golem, you know what I mean? Margie runs to pick it up. Lily snaps at her, and Ronnie's like, yo, chill, what is wrong with you? So they're kind of having a back and forth, kind of fighting over the shard. Next scene, Dick is screaming. He said, I saw the dagger, it's with the girls. And they are fighting right now, and they're going after Will. The adults pick up Dick, put him into the van, because he was loopy doopy. Puts him into the van. Daniel drives. Leroy's is riding shotgun. Charlotte and Rose is in the back with Dick, trying to make sure that he's okay. And they drive off to find the girls, because what they need is the shard. Dick is telling them as they drive, you're getting closer. And Rose gives them a warning. The shard has a way of trying to get itself back home. Back home, I assume, is where all the entire shard containment, because remember the shard is from the spaceship that contained the creature. So the shard will want to be returned back to that space. Next scene, Ronnie and Margie are walking ahead. Lily grabbed the shard. She's like, I got it, I'm gonna take it. Ronnie and Marge are walking ahead of Lily, and Ronnie's like, yo, Lily's acting pretty fucking funny. And Lily calls them out like, are you talking shit? Margie's the diplomatic one. She's like, why don't we take turns holding it? And Lily's like deflecting like, oh, you just never trusted me. This is a matter of trust. And Ronnie and Marge are looking at each other like, what the fuck? In the moment, it's not funny, but it's funny. She says that Ronnie used her, and Lily takes off running. And Margie and Ronnie chase her down, and they wrestle her for it. Margie's saying, the dagger is messing with your mind, Lily. The dagger's messing with your mind. Ronnie grabs Lily's face and looks her in the eye and says, you're a goddamn lifeboat. And then Lily just snaps out of it. I am a lifeboat. That brought her back. Lily apologizes. She gets up and she's like, I'm so sorry. And Ronnie's like, don't worry, it wasn't you. And Margie's like, we'll just trade off holding the thing, because obviously the thing is messing with the mind. The dagger starts to glow, and Ronnie sees the clown cart and the line of kids floating. They're like, oh shit. So they run towards the parade. I guess it's the parade. Dick is having a fit in the back of the car, and Rose figures out that they are near the river, almost past the dead tree, because he's freaking out. He's seeing kids floating on ice, and Rose is like, oh my god, they're near the river. We have to get past, they're almost past the dead tree. We got to get there as soon as possible. Otherwise we won't be able to stop him. Dick sees the clown in his mind, and Leroy asks Dick to get into the cloud's head like before. The next scene, we see the girls running towards the floating kids in the smog. They see Will. Will's the first kid in line. They're screaming for Will. Will is not here. You can't see me. Sorry. Little scene for that ass. They're screaming for Will. They try to pull him down. Out comes Pennywise from the cart, and he's like, oh look, it's the fool, the freak, and the failure. I'm assuming Margie's the fool, the freak is Lily, the failure is Ronnie. To be clear, Pennywise is a dick, but he is funny. He's funny. He's like, it's the who's who. It doesn't matter. There's a spot for you in this line. And Ronnie shakes a dagger at him. And he's like, he backs up. And he's like, oh, word? Oh, you're gonna pull a knife on me? And he starts running around like Sonic trying to catch rings. Like he's like Sonic the Hedgehog. And he's going around them like crazy. It grabs Marge. Like, it kind of does a tentacle thing, yanks Marge and drags her into the fog, away from the dagger's protection. Pennywise tells Marge how he wonders how she would taste, and he calls her Margaret Tozer, and Margie's like, Tozer? That's not her last name. And Pennywise, he's like, oh, not yet, Tozer. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes Richie in a baby carriage, unless he dies with you. And Penny rolls out Richie's missing poster. You don't recognize your boy? Crumbles it up and tosses it, and it hits her good eye. I'm like, this motherfucker. One, he has very good aim in the fog. Two, how you gonna toss it at her good eye? Like, it was a direct hit. He says he doesn't understand past from future. No one will stop him. As long as you die, you and your kids who will kill me will not exist. He runs at her with the shark teeth. He's about to eat her, and then he freezes. Marge is a G for this. She wastes no second. She runs off. Once he freezes, she's like, nope. And she takes off running. She goes back to the girls. And once Margie's running up, the kids who are floating, who are deadlit, fall down, and Will is conscious and the other kids are conscious. Daniel's truck almost hits them, and Leroy, all the adults like congregate with the kids. Leroy and Charlotte hug Will. Daniel and Rose are telling the kids to leave, get out of here. Leroy and Daniel after the high school kids run off, Leroy and Daniel take the shard from Ronnie and say, y'all go back into the van. Charlotte, Rose, Will, Ronnie, Marge, and Lily run back to the van while Leroy and Daniel take the shard and they're running towards the dead tree. Suddenly, we hear pop, pop. I'm so mad. The military is there. Shaw, Fuller, and a bunch of military dudes. Will hears the pop pop. They hear it. They don't see it. Will hears it, runs, screaming out for his dad. The girls follow. Charlotte and Rose and Hank. Mind you, Hank is there too. They all are late to get out and follow the kids. The girls and Will just take off. Hank tries to follow immediately after the kids. Pew, pew, pew. He ducks down like he was about to get got. But the kids were able to manage, probably because they're smaller targets. We see Leroy on the ground. He's alive, but he's shot in the leg. Daniel got in the neck. Will runs up to Leroy. He's like, Dad, Dad. Leroy gives Will the dagger. You gotta put it in the tree. Put it in the base of the tree. While Leroy is giving instructions to Will, we see Shaw tell his crew to secure Leroy and Dick, which kind of implies to me everybody else can go, which is crazy. As the army people are rolling up closer to where Leroy and Daniel are, Will is saying, I'm scared, I'm not like you. And Leroy is like, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to be you. And you, I know, can do this. So you do this. And he hands off the shirt to his boy. The group takes off running. Will, Margie, Ronnie, and Lily take off running. And they're lost in the fog. The army is suddenly visible now to Leroy. The next scene, Shaw looks over and sees that the clown is standing petrified and still. We get into the clown's mind. So he's in the past in a like circus trailer with the hype man from the 1906 fair, and all the circus people are around. Hype man is kind of talking to Bob all reckless. Are you hitting the sauce? Pennywise is like, he chokes him out. He's like, don't talk to me like that. I'm a god. I'm the eater of worlds. Like, oh, that's some serious shit. The kids are running, but the army people are kind of shooting still. And they're like, why are they shooting at us? And Will tells them to like, stay calm. We got this. Let's keep going. And Will is a natural leader, which of course he would be, because look at his mom, look at his dad. So the army men threaten Leroy like, where's the kids going? What's happening here? They're asking him questions. He's not saying shit. We see Shaw pass by and he's walking towards the clown. Will is walking towards the tree, but the shard is going brighter and brighter. The girls start walking ahead of Will. Will is slowing down as the girls keep walking. Will stops. He just starts running in the opposite direction. They're like, what the fuck? And the girls start chasing him down. Trying to stop him. Shaw gets close to the clown and he's just examining him. He's just like looking at him, real close to them teeth. Scary shit. The kids are all struggling together with the dagger. They all put their hands on it and they all start saying, Will, we have to go to the tree. So they start steering Will. And the more hands that are on it, I guess the energy is confused, like who to direct it, like desire to go home. So at that point, they're able to contain Will and move it closer to the dead tree. Shaw is talking to the frozen Pennywise. Oh, I didn't know if you were real or not. I didn't know if you were our boy's imagination. We're gonna fix whatever Dick did to you. You're gonna be fine. Like, he is telling the eater of worlds, quote unquote. This is Pennywise. Pennywise described himself as the eater of worlds. This lowly, impotent, old ass man, this general, is telling this entity, because he's not even a being, he's an entity, the eater of worlds, that he's gonna be fine and we're gonna liberate you. Like, savior complex on savior complex. Like, boy oh boy, that's how colonialism happened. I digress. But anyhow, while Shaw is talking to frozen Pennywise, the army men are at the van shaking Dick up. They're holding Charlotte, Hank, and Rose like at gunpoint, but they're trying to wake up Dick because they're trying to secure Dick. And we see the scene in Pennywise's mind. So he was with the circus folk and talking directly to the ringleader. As they're shaking, as the army people are shaking Dick in the real world, the tent or the trailer that's containing Pennywise and the circus people start shaking too. The ringleader loses balance and drops his hand onto the bed. And mind you, the ringleader is white. His hand looks black. Pennywise spots that. He's like, oh, tricky, tricky, dicky. I was just like, oh. He pulls the mask off, exposing Dick's face, and he's like, tricky, then kicks him in the chest, backwards outside the trailer. Back in the real world, Dick falls out of Daniel's van, and Pennywise comes back to life right in front of Shaw. Next scene, army bros are kicking everybody out of the van. So Rose is holding Daniel's face, crying. Dick is mumbling, I tried. So everyone's gathered around the floor. Shaw is talking to Pennywise, who's shaking himself off from the delusion. You're free to go. Shaw is the embodiment of not being self-aware. I swear to God. Pennywise looks at him, he's like, all right. And he starts walking off, and then he stops. He's like, he sniffs at him. He turns around, he's like, I know you. I never forget a smell. Very predatorial behavior. I was like, oh, back up a taste, stop. I know what you're doing. And Pennywise waves his hand in front of his face and changes it to the skinny one-eyed creature that scared young Francis in one of the flashbacks in an earlier episode. Shaw tells him to stop it, but you could tell he's scared out of his mind. And Pennywise does, chews his head off. Fuller hears the snap, crackle, and pop of his general, sends the troops over to take a look at what's happening to Shaw. But we see Pennywise running in slow motion past the adult, and he is grinning like a Cheshire cat. The kids are still struggling. They've been struggling. Like, apparently the shard is super powerful at this point, struggling to even put the dagger close to the tree. Leroy tells Fuller that they have to stop the clown, shoot the clown, otherwise we're doomed. We have to help. Fuller's telling his soldiers, ignore him, don't listen to him, but the soldiers look a little scared. He's saying Leroy's a traitor, don't listen to him. The soldiers look dubious, and all the good guys are on the ground looking at each other like, bet, let's do this. Everybody pops up and starts fighting. They are able to best them because the soldiers were distracted and obviously scared. They take the guns away from them. The kids are screaming when they hear and see Pennywise running. Pennywise gets close to the kids, close enough to mock them. It says, "So long, losers." So he's not even interested in eating the kids. He's just trying to get the hell out. Pennywise starts skipping. I'm just like, when was the last time you skipped? Suddenly, we hear a pop pop. Pennywise starts bleeding upward, and then he falls down and his head explodes because Leroy is popping. But as he pops his head open, a new head pops out like a jack-in-the-box. Leroy is standing, but he falls under his injury. He keeps pewing until he runs out of ammo. Pennywise says, "Uh-oh." Before Leroy can try to shoot him again or reload, Pennywise deadlights him, and Charlotte drops her gun and runs to protect her husband. Now, if you see the gun work on Pennywise, why would you drop the only thing that had worked on Pennywise? Pennywise starts crawling away because what he wants more than anything is freedom. We hear a flute playing, and then two lights appear at the distance. The only people who notices it is Rose and Dick. It's the ancestor, Rose's ancestor, and Rich, holding hands, walking towards them. Rich drops the ancestor's hand, runs past the adults. Rose asks Dick, "What did you see?" Dick's like, "A motherfucking miracle." Yup. So Penn tries to get up and we hear pop pop. Rose is finally like taking care of business, with her pum. Rich runs past Pennywise, past the adults, past Pennywise. He gives Pennywise the old New York salute with the finger. He gets to his friends. He places his hand on top of the dagger with his friends. And as he's doing that, Pennywise turns into like a bat-like creature and tries to fly. Now my issue is, if you knew you could fly before, why are you running? Like, are you for real right now? It took you bullets for you to decide, oh, I'm gonna fly now? Rose is still shooting at Pennywise as he turns into a bat-like creature, but she runs out of bullets. They have that extra with Rick. They're able to push the dagger into the dirt, and all the pillar lights go off, pushing everybody back. Everyone's thrown back. Pennywise is pushed all the way back, slides on his back, peeling away, and as he's peeling away, his face is changing to all the monsters he embodied throughout the season. Mostly the pickle monster and the weird flying baby that ate Phil, Susie, and Maddie. He changes into that before he changes back into the clown. And he says, "Lively crowd," before turning into like bold lights and floating blood. Leroy pops up, or hops up. He asks Charlotte about Will, and Charlotte's like, "He's okay." Margie notices that Richie was there, and they all talked about like, "You felt that, right? You felt that?" And all the kids noticed that Rich was with them, and they all started laughing and hugging, and they all walked to reunite with the adults. You see Rose mourning Taniel, like she hums, I assume an indigenous melody to his corpse. Fuller just stands back and watches. Too bad there wasn't a stray bullet for him. And Dick just stares at him, and we listen to Rose sing the melody to Taniel. Rest in peace, Taniel. One of the scenes is Rich's funeral, and we hear Margie talk about how she only knew Rich for a month, and that there are no good friends or bad friends, just people here to help us not be lonely, to stand with us, giving us purpose. And everybody is crying. She pretty much says there's no friends but people that we want and need to be with. And Dick is in the background watching the funeral. Margie sits down, the kids are crying. Rich's dad keeps putting his hand on his shoulder, and Dick notices him putting his hand on his shoulder, and we can see, as does Dick, that Rich is standing there holding his parents as they cry. Dick walks over to the parents, being kind of weird, and he's like, "That hand you feel on your shoulder, that's your boy. Your boy is with you." And the parents start sobbing. They're like, who are you? And Dick's like, "I'm still working on it," and just walks away. This is like so weird. So next scene, Margie's walking on Main Street. I assume it's after the funeral, and she looks up and she sees the airplane on Main Street. She smiles at it, which is really lovely. This next scene is Lily at her dad's grave, just talking to him, saying that she's better now and that she has friends. Fast forward later, Lily and Marge are on the tower looking at the peaceful town like, isn't it crazy? It looks like nothing happened. Marge tells Lily what Pennywise said to her, that her kid is going to kill Pennywise, and perhaps he came back to kill her so that it doesn't happen, that he doesn't understand past or future. And Lily's like, well, maybe he was lying. And he was like, maybe his death was his birth. And Lily's like, what can we do? There's nothing we could do, because Marge is like, he could try to go backwards and kill like all our ancestors. And Lily's like, well, it has to be somebody else's fight. We did our due justice. Will pacing in the background as they're talking. Last scene, Charlotte and Leroy are packing, telling Will to hurry. Leroy looks like he's at peace, and then Dick shows up at the front door, comes by to say goodbye, and Leroy asks him, how are the voices? Yo, that root old girl gave me was aces. But he's on his way to Boston and then to London to work as a chef in a hotel. And he says a little wink to the future. He's like, how much trouble could it be at a hotel? Leroy says, I owe you, and if you ever need anything, you know, let me know. And that's when Dick says, how much trouble a hotel could be. They hug and they promise to keep in touch. Leroy's like, I thought you didn't care. And Dick's like, don't tell nobody. They pack up Hank and give him instructions on how to get to Canada, and his mom is with him. So the whole family is leaving Derry. Leroy was honorably discharged. Rose gives them an offer. She'll help us keep an eye out on the cage. I'm selling the farmhouse. It's not the same without Daniel. It's gonna be another 27 years. You can make this home. And Leroy's like, I think my family has had enough of Derry. Next scene, Ron and Will are talking about the smoke bomb, and Will's like saying, I hope when we leave here we don't forget each other. And Ronnie's like, is that what you want? And Will's like, he never wants to forget her. And Ronnie kisses him and he babbles a little bit more and they kiss again. And Will's like, I'm definitely gonna remember that. And then we hear Hank call Ronnie over. Will, Charlotte, and Leroy get in the car. Charlotte's driving. She's like, I'm thinking of Rose's offer. And Leroy said, I thought we were all done with crusades. And she's like, well, this is a crusade we could all do together as a family. And Leroy turns to Will, what do you think of us sticking around? Will's excited. He jumps out of the car. He's like, I gotta get a pen. Will starts writing a letter that we could hear. And Ronnie is in the car with her dad, Hank, and grandma in the back, sucking on a lollipop just like in the first episode. And she's smiling, and we could hear Will saying, you know, we're gonna stick around and we're not gonna forget Derry and all the things. And then you see as they drive past the sign welcoming you to Derry, what we think is the final. The true final scene is that we're at Juniper Hill. Ingrid is hella hysterical, screaming, hollering, hooping, doing all the things. And the orderlies just put on the record in her room, and suddenly she quiets down and it's silent. Fast forward several years later, you see her watercoloring. On the screen says it's October 1988, 26 years later. Old Ingrid is painting. She hears a thud and screaming, and someone's screaming to help her. She gets up. Ingrid gets up. Old Ingrid gets up, walks down the hall. Ingrid turns to look, and she sees a woman hanging, obviously took her own life, and a girl is crying, seeing her, I assume her family member, her mother, swinging. And Ingrid says, oh dear, don't be sad. You know what they say about Derry. No one really dies here. And the girl looks at her all freaked out, and old Ingrid's grinning at her like a Cheshire cat. The end. That is the season finale of It. Welcome to Derry, season 1, episode 8. What a fantastic season. Please tell me your thoughts and feelings about this whole season in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype, do as you deem fit. Remember to question everything except your instincts, and I'll be sure to catch you on the flips. Bye.